And we're live.
Good evening. Today is Thursday, November 23rd, 2023. As a quick disclaimer, nothing that is said in this stream should be taken as financial advice. It is strictly for edutainment purposes only. We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the whole Binance situation. It's been running the headlines for the last couple of days, so you don't want to miss that. How are you doing today, Dip?
I'm doing good. I had a kind of day of some convenient irony. Last night I posted a video on the channel, and in the video we were talking about different ways of being able to free up cash to be able to find money to invest. And so in one of the topic ways to do it, I mentioned plumbing, and I woke up this morning to the water line to my ice maker leaking, and ended up having to fix that. And for $3.65, I managed to save a plumber and get it all fixed up. And now I have a couple $100 that I can throw into Bitcoin.
That's irony at its best. That's hilarious.
Almost exactly what I said.
Yep. For anyone that hasn't seen that video that Glenn is talking about, it's on our channel right now. It was uploaded last night. You should go check it out. It's a pretty good one. So I guess we should get right into the market watch.
Let's do.
Okay. Here we have trusty old CoinMarketCap. Currently, the market cap overall in the crypto space is $1.42 trillion. Our 24-hour volume is just over 40 billion, down 33% on the day. Bitcoin dominance at 51.5%, ETH dominance at 17.5%. ETH has slightly risen, and it will cost you 20 gwei or 10 pair of gweis to do an ETH transaction. Currently, Bitcoin is sitting at 37,305. Ethereum at 2,062, and then the BNB, which will lead into our market story, at 233.76. And right now, currently, we are sitting at 73 on the Fear and Greed Index. That did drop down in the high 60s earlier when we had, or yesterday, I should say, when we had that Bitcoin news, BNB news, and it's propped right back up to 73. I think that just shows, the strength that we have in the market right now, which is really, really good to see. Okay, the next thing I want to show everyone, I'm going to start showing this each week, is called the Bitcoin Rainbow Chart. It's kind of an interesting little metric here. It basically shows the different colors of the rainbow and then the price action of Bitcoin through each of the bear and bull cycles. And as we can see currently, as it sits, we are in the accumulate phase. We've gotten out of basically a fire sale area in the blue and the light green, and we're now in accumulate, which is great because if you look at previous bull cycles, once we get out of this zone here, we shoot straight up into the red zones, the FOMO, and then of course the seriously sell areas. So I'm going to show this each week and see where we are progressing along in this bull market. I think we should head straight to headlines, unless you had something to add there, Mr. Dip.
Yeah, I'll just show the S&P. There's nothing really newsworthy going on, but we are continuing to rally in traditional markets, which is good news. And it's looking good in my investment portfolio. So I'll take that down and we can get right to the headlines.
All right. Amazing. We will start with some bullish news for Crypto.com. Now, you and I are both really big fans of Crypto.com and the whole ecosystem, the Kronos ecosystem. And I just wanted to add this little bit of a headline that propped up last week. As you can see back here, I actually have a Crypto.com credit card. And for anyone who doesn't really know about Crypto.com, I encourage you to do your research, check it out. They have a great exchange, many cryptos that you can purchase. And they have their NFT marketplace as well. So it's a really good platform. And with everything that's happened with Binance, which we'll go over here in a few minutes, Crypto.com has seemed like a a stronger choice as the weeks and months go on. So anyway, Crypto.com, they've obtained a license in Dubai to operate crypto exchange services, which is amazing. Dubai, many people may not know, but it's crypto friendly. A lot of people that are crypto wealthy, they go there for conferences and meetups, and Dubai is a rich country anyway. So if you throw your crypto space in there, and it's a recipe for success. So now Crypto.com has got the rights to have exchange services there, which is phenomenal. Okay, we'll go on to the main headline, the story of the day, which is everything that happened with Binance. Bring this up. Okay, so officials announced that a $4.3 billion settlement with Binance and a plea deal with CZ. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard of Binance, especially if you're in the crypto space. But for those that don't know, it is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world by volume. For crypto exchange by volume. Binance's CEO CZ, he was charged. There were multiple charges, and he was part of the plea deal. He had to step down as CEO after they paid the $4.3 billion fine. Another thing I found interesting is that they put restrictions on his accounts. Twittered it as well when he took the Binance label off his name. So CZ is going through a lot of BS right now. It's unfortunate, but now the other thing too is prosecutors are trying to keep CZ in the country until February, until his sentencing, even though he was released on bail, but they want to keep him in the country for whatever reason. Now, replacing CZ is a gentleman by the name of Richard Teng, or Dick Teng, as he is known. The funny thing about him is he is a member of the World Economic Forum, and if anyone remembers or knows that organization or that entity, it seems everywhere they go, nothing really good follows. But, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Now, a lot of people are wondering if this whole thing was planned. Now, there was a tweet sent out by Travis Kling. Let me just take this off the screen right now. Travis Kling back in June. And I'll read here so I don't misquote. Lots of chatter on this Blackrock Bitcoin ETF. Now, as many of you know, Bitcoin, there have been, ARK Invest and Blackrock and a few others, Grayscale, that have filed for a Bitcoin spot ETF. Nothing has been approved yet, but it's just a matter of time. So in this tweet, it says BlackRock more or less is the U.S. government. They've also received approval on 575 or 576 ETF applications over the years. One thing I'll say, there is no chance, and I mean zero, that this ETF is approved with Binance in the current position of market dominance, because everyone knows that Binance is the first place you think of when you think of crypto and crypto exchanges. If the ETF is approved, Binance is either gone entirely or their role in price discovery is massively diminished. If Binance holds on to its current level of influence, no chance this ETF is approved. So that just goes to show right there that, this could have been in the works for a long time. A lot of people feared. I think it's because CZ, he was a straight and narrow guy. He did things by the book, and he was decentralized. He was all about decentralization. Now, I'll let you comment here in a sec, Lam, but I just want to go over this last little bit. Now, when the DOJ held their press conference, which I will show when I read this article here in a minute, the notable absence was the SEC. Now, everyone knows that the SEC is going after different crypto exchanges and cryptocurrencies for, buying and selling securities and stuff like that. But they weren't there. And of all the charges that were laid out against Binance, securities was not one of them, which is notable. And the other thing, too, at the very same time that the DOJ came out with the press conference, the SEC announced that they were suing Kraken crypto exchange at the same time. So it's funny to see that them not being part of that press conference when it came to charging Binance just makes you wonder, are the other government levels losing faith in the SEC, and they don't really want them involved in what they're doing, which it could be. I mean, CZ he was a powerful influencer, and he was all about decentralization. And there's a lot of speculation that this was done because of one main what do you want to call it, like a financial institution which is BlackRock. Now, Glenn, you know a little bit more about the traditional finance side of it than I do. So what's your take on BlackRock and this whole Binance firing of CZ or stepping down?
Well, BlackRock, I believe the number is they own over 40% of the planet at this point. They're a mega financial institution. And it is suspicious because of BlackRock's connection with the World Economic Forum, and then who's taking over Binance having a place there as well. Some conspiracy theories could really pop up from there to question what's actually going on. I'm not 100% sure whether I am 100% sure I would trust CZ moving markets over the World Economic Forum.
That's for sure. And everyone knows that the current economic situation, especially in the housing market, there's a lot of mortgages that people cannot afford. And, I think what's going to happen if rates don't come down fairly quick is there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. And I saw a quote, actually I heard a quote on a video. Now, I don't know the source, but it was saying that because of those foreclosures, in about 10 years from now, entities like BlackRock, they're going to own 80% of all properties that are for sale on the market. Like, that's just mind-blowing. People have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, property prices are not going to be coming down. At any time in history when you've had inflationary times, you've never had an actual price correction. You get the Fed inflation correction with the amount that it's going up. But there's absolutely no hope in anything becoming more affordable in the future. And everyone's going to have to adapt. And this is where you're going to see the retail side of things get pushed out, and mega companies like BlackRock coming in and swooping up all the property and using you for rental income.
And that's exactly what's happening. I mean, one of the things that I also saw in that video was that BlackRock, in some areas of the US, they're buying up entire neighborhoods, like entire blocks. We're talking 15, 20 homes at a time, or businesses. It's scary to think that they're going to have that much control.
It's all equity.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go over this article here, so we can dive deep into the financing. So, officials with the U.S. Justice Department, the DOJ, and the CFTC allege that Binance lacked basic safeguards to protect against sanctions, and CZ committed criminal acts. Scrolling down here, CZ will plead guilty to one felony charge as part of a settlement over the criminal and civil cases with the exchange. November 21st press conference, which was the other day, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that CZ entered his plea in person in the U.S. federal court, despite residing outside of the country. He added that a $4.3 billion settlement with Binance and CZ would cover civil regulatory enforcement actions by government departments, including the U.S. Treasury and Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC. And as I just stated there, they're trying to keep him in the country because he does reside outside the country. So we'll see what happens there. According to Garland, Binance's policies allowed criminals involved in illicit activities to move stolen funds through the exchange. He alleged the exchange pretended to comply with U.S. federal laws by offering paths for certain users to access Binance despite their ties to illicit funds. The Attorney General said that the exchange would be subject to monitoring and reporting requirements and required to file suspicious activity reports for past transactions. Here's the photo here of the press conference with the DOJ and other members of law enforcement. Now, going back to BlackRock, Mr. Dip, there are rumors that BlackRock had a lot to do with this. And, like I said, because they couldn't have CZ in their back pocket. Now, one theory I have, and I'll let you reiterate or at least add to it, I feel that the government is looking for a way into the crypto space. Now, obviously, no one's going to trust them if they come up with their own exchange or regulate it to death. And they can't seem to get regulation sorted out. And you had mentioned before, it's because they don't understand the space. They don't understand crypto. They don't understand Bitcoin. So how can they regulate something they don't understand? Which I completely agree. So Binance has, a platform and employees and a team that does know the space. So whether it be the government or BlackRock, which, as we all know, BlackRock is the government, this could be their way to, legitimize themselves in the space and get into the space and, have some kind of control. More so in the U.S., not the rest of the world, but in the U.S., have some kind of control where people, new investors, new retail, gets into the crypto space, and they can somewhat have some kind of a control over it. That's my thoughts. I mean, obviously, there's a bigger picture. There's a lot more going on here, but that's just my quick take. How do you feel?
Well, I do believe that U.S. government's like working with BlackRock in doing this crypto acquisition. And yeah, you generally see it when you see those articles with Janet Yellen getting on stage and just pretty much shouting trigger words to people to scare them, because there was a lot of talk about terrorist activity and the financing going through the crypto exchange and this, that, and the next thing. Meanwhile, independent business does not have criminal affiliations on all of their customers. It's impossible for a business to know who their customer is as long as they're following the business's guidelines for KYC. It's just a name. So all these charges that they're trying to make a private company responsible for are just smoke and mirrors to not have a revolt by the general public when they're the ones in the wrong, pretty much doing a hostile takeover of the largest crypto exchange on the planet.
I agree. And you know what? That's kind of an idiotic statement, saying that, or making a big deal out of saying that Binance is, directly involved in illicit activities and criminal laundering, whatever they believe that's happening in Binance. But the idiotic statement is that before crypto came along, before exchanges were here, because they've only been around since 2000. Well, Bitcoin's been around since 2009, but exchanges in that 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, this has been going on a lot longer than that. It was banks that were behind it before, and if not banks, then everyone knows how the drug cartel works and stuff like that. But they can't pin it on crypto because it's been happening long before crypto was even a thing.
Yeah, it's if you look historically, when it comes to cartel finance and militant groups and terrorist groups and whatever you've seen historically, the number one culprit for funding them is the US dollar and where they get the weapons and everything else. So yeah, it's just a whole lot of talk that people shouldn't be paying much attention to. And if decentralization is important to you, stick with it, because just because they're going after Binance and Kraken, the two most decentralized exchanges like of size that are out there right now, it's not going to stop the crypto movement when it comes to decentralization. Someone else will start something up and keep the ball moving down the road. So you can't let government sway you.
No, not at all. And the funny thing about that is, whether there's any truth to it or not, but it's kind of widely known, but under the radar, hush hush, that the government supplies a lot of these weapons and a lot of this money to these criminal organizations. So I think the reason they're so up in arms and trying to put a stop to it happening in decentralized cryptocurrencies is because they're being undercut. They don't like it.
Yeah, maybe.
If you believe what the things you hear in the movies.
We can't deflate the bad guy with money printing.
Yeah, the government doesn't like competition, so they'll do what they can to kind of stop it, right? But it's no secret that U.S. weapons are all over the world, and how they got there,
Yeah, it's a surplus auctions, and they make their way around, right? there's always a buyer for something that's for sale.
Yeah. Well, that's a story for another episode. So we'll see what transpires out of this. There was a lot of people that thought that this was going to shake up the market and there was going to be, almost like a black swan event, and that never happened. Binance or BNB, as it's known, it held its price pretty good. The overall crypto market dipped a little bit, but it pretty much went back to the levels it was at before. So it was a nothing burger, thank goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of institutional money sitting there that isn't getting shaken, and I think the retail that's still in the market, they've seen it all at this point, and they ain't letting go. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's a very good thing. I think this price point between 37 and 38, it might prove to be an area that the market makers and the powers that be that try to dip the price are going to realize that this is kind of the area that it's going to hold. So we may see the FUD come to an end, and we may see another upswing. At least that's what I'm hoping. Because if retail and institutions can prove that the ones that are in right now are in for the long term and they're going to be holding no matter what happens, well, there's no point to FUD the market anymore.
Right. I think it will lead to somewhat stabilization, the institutional involvement, but I don't know. I cheer for the old school crypto investor.
Yeah, I look forward to when retail returns. It's going to be fun times.
Yeah, the volatility is just insane when you can get a 50% jump one week and then a 30% dip the next, and the opportunities for earning are just massive with all the volatility up and down. So yeah, I'm excited too.
Good. Staying on somewhat the same topic, since we're on ETFs and Blackrock and some of the other institutions. Now, there was speculation that an ETF was going to be approved this year, but I'm not sure where you stand on it. I don't think it's going to happen this year now, because we have Thanksgiving week this week in the U.S. And then when December rolls around, there's really only a couple of weeks there that the government gets together, and then they go for the holidays. So I'm thinking it's going to be, at the earliest in January. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. When you have people coming out and openly saying next June or July, you could probably expect it in the next few weeks, because they don't want people positioning ahead of it, right? So yeah, I would honestly just expect it at any time. You're not going to know beforehand. It's just going to pop up on a news feed one day and everything's going to go crazy. There's obviously been a lot of accumulation with OTC trading, which won't sway the market as much. So yeah, it'll be an exciting day when it happens. And yeah, just be prepared to hit that buy.
I'm excited. I remember last bull market, when there was rumors about an ETF, and the consensus was, nah, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. Crypto is not far enough along to be able to get an ETF. Well, here we are, 18 months later, and now we're like an approval is imminent. Now, out of all the people that have applied, which I'm sure most of them as well, or a lot of them anyway, who do you think is going to be the first one that gets approved for an ETF?
It'll probably end up being Blackrock.
You think Blackrock? I'm leaning more toward ARK Invest, believe it or not.
I'm excited for the ARK Invest one, but I think BlackRock's got its lined too many pockets.
That's true, but you got to remember, in this space, the most logical outcome and the one that you think is going to happen the most is sometimes not always the way it happens. And ARK Invest, even though they've got a strong position and a strong application, no one's really talking about them. Everyone's always talking about either BlackRock or Grayscale, but ARK is that one that's sitting in the background, and it's going to squeeze through the door, I think. But we'll see. And I agree, it could happen anytime. The approval will probably happen when people are least expecting it. So yeah, maybe, who knows, maybe the last week before Christmas shutdown next month it'll happen, which would be friggin' amazing Christmas present, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, hopefully, like we've had ETFs in Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in Canada for a few years now, and yeah, they're honestly on the traditional side of things great investments. You get a monthly dividend that they move almost par with market, and then you got your insured side of it as well, right? So it kind of mitigates some risk when it comes to new investors coming into crypto. But yeah, the US is going to be the big market mover.
Yeah, they always are. Them and China, obviously. Okay, so we'll discuss more about this in the spotlight and the roundtable, but let's move ahead to DYOR. I do want to go over one project or one token, if you will, really quickly here before we continue and get onto the roundtable, because it's my favorite part of the show anyway. But okay, so this is a project called Aurora. For those that are not familiar with Aurora, it's basically, I'll read it here. It's the next generation Ethereum compatible blockchain and ecosystem that runs on the Near protocol and powers the innovations behind Aurora Cloud, the fastest path for Web 2 businesses to capture the value of Web 3. Now, basically what this is, I'm sure many of you have heard of like Polygon Matic and a few others out there that just tend to act as they're a layer one, and cheaper transaction fees, faster transaction fees. As you can see here, Aurora for Near, average block times 1 second, transaction finalities 2 seconds, and the average transaction cost is like 2 cents. It's fairly new. It's still got a small market cap, and so for anyone looking for probably a good project for this next bull run, do your own research, obviously, but Aurora is definitely one to take a look at. Now you can see here they work with Near Protocol, the Graph, which is another popular one, Curve, Synapse, Covalent. They're all good projects here. And as you can see here, 15 million locked projects on Aurora at 243, and the token price currently at the time of this, when I called up the website, was 10 cents. So it's certainly one to look into. We're not being sponsored or anything by Aurora, but it's one that I came across, and I really liked what I saw, and price action seems to be pretty good. It's volatile now, as with a lot of the smaller caps. I don't want to call this one a micro cap, but it is a smaller cap. This one's available on the Crypto.com exchange.
Yeah, those small caps are where you're gonna make some degen money. So yeah, it does look like a really decent project that doesn't look like it's going anywhere throughout this next bull run. So yeah, even if it's not much, it'd probably be a good place to just have a small bag, and you just never know what's going to moon.
Yep. And Near Protocol is one that I'm very bullish on. It's got a lot going for it, and so Aurora and Near, I've been watching the charts and the price action, and whatever Near does, Aurora seems to do as well. So I believe Near is going to do well this next bull market. So I think Aurora is going to follow behind in its footsteps and do well as well. That's my opinion, not financial advice, obviously.
Yeah, a nice pick. I like that. I don't really got too many opinions on it, as I don't know much, but the numbers are all right. And
yep,
I wouldn't be throwing my life savings at it, but yeah, a small moon bag, and you could make some nice gains off of it.
Exactly.
But I'm a maxi, so.
You're a maxi. You are a Bitcoin maxi. Yeah, you definitely are. The only exposure yours truly has to Bitcoin is through my ShakePay wallet, and that's only because every time I use it, I get paid in Bitcoin Satoshis. So that's where I get my Bitcoin allocated.
Yeah, I use that for my DCA whenever I'm buying something that have a good off ramp, and you do the roundup on the dollar, and then you can add a few bucks. So every transaction you make, your dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, and then you just once a month swap it over to the ledger.
Yeah, it adds up really quick. Like very fast,
Yeah,
it adds up. Yeah.
Yeah, I might
You
end
know,
up with $50 a week sitting in there, and all right, move it over to the ledger and let her grow, right?
Exactly. Yeah, adds up fast. I see Juan has joined us. I think we should bring him up on stage.
Yeah, we'll move on to the spotlight and then the round table.
Mhm.
Or do we just mix it together and just go straight round table?
Yeah, because today's spotlight is pretty much Binance and everything that happens. So we can just run it right through into the roundtable.
All right. Let's do that. Hello, Juan. Are you there?
Good evening, fellas. Happy Turkey Day.
Yeah.
Happy
Gobble,
Turkey Day
gobble.
to you.
All right, all right, all right. I'm hoping that we are enjoying both food and finance.
Well,
Oh,
for us snowbirds up here in Canada, we had our Thanksgiving last month. Actually, ours is in October, so we are just kind of riding on the coattails of you Americans.
Oh, all right. Well, at the end of the day, as long as we find a way to give thanks, I don't think we should limit to just 1 month. Why not include October?
You
there
know
we
what?
go. We get to
Exactly.
steal all the nice butterballs before you get to them.
I
Hey,
heard
I'm
all the
all-
best. I heard all the best people are born in October, right?
Oh,
right.
I bet. I can guess whose birthdays are here. Leaving this November.
Right. You know, I'm all for having a nice feast and food coma for 3 months in a row, October, November, December. I'm all about it.
Let's do it. We should just block off the last quarter of the year.
I'm obviously all about it.
Oh man. So fellas, what's good?
Not too much.
Oh.
I mean, the main topic of conversation today, obviously, is the Binance. What happened with Binance and CZ, and I'm interested to get your take on that.
Well, to say that I was gonna be surprised about that would be lying. I think that the majority of the reasons to me has to be about the pursuit of how the United States has always kind of operated, right? When you think about how they were always behind on a lot of the major movements in the markets of anything. Like, for example, just you look at marijuana, same issue, right? They kind of dropped the ball there. I'm pretty sure they wish they were on the forefront of it. And now they're trying to do it now. I think crypto is just kind of reflection of what they do. Same thing with the medical business. A lot of drop the ball situations there that they can't control, and they're behind on the 8 ball there too. So this is just kind of them trying to get ahead of it. But again, this is like 10 years later, 20 years later, cryptology existing, and they just kind of sat on their hands. So I'm hoping that there's some truth to whatever CZ did, right? I hope that there is some things that can be proven to be true, just like in the Safe Move situation, right? I think that if he did wrong, yeah, he should go to jail regardless, right? But to stop the machine, I don't think I think they're too late. They had the opportunity to do it, and by real regulation, by real consistent regulation. But at the end of the day, I think that they're just in this position where how can we make money? How can we be the ones to introduce it to the public, and then how can we tax it?
Well, the truth be told, I think what happened was when it first started in 2009, they didn't really pay it much attention. They thought maybe it was just something that was going to go away. So they're the leaders over down there, your leaders, your financial leaders, those dinosaurs that you guys have. They weren't looking for anything new. They were sticking with the old financial system, traditional stocks and the old way of thinking, the old money frame of mind. So when they finally realized that oh shit, this isn't going anywhere, this is actually something, and it's going to become huge, they were late. getting involved, and they needed to understand it, and they couldn't regulate it until they did understand it. So then, they brought on Gary Skeletor there because he seemed to be the only person that had any knowledge of it. Of course, when he became the SEC, their head of the SEC or SEC commissioner, he was a puppet, kind of like Biden is now. And so they decided to go with the regulation by enforcement instead of actually trying to sit down, understand what crypto is, what it brings to the table, and regulate it properly. And now they're just behind the eight ball. They're trying to catch up. And like you said, instead of regulating it, I think right now their focus is on how can we benefit from it? How can we make money from this lucrative industry, which is going to have trillions of dollars in the market cap in a very short period of time?
Yeah, that's what ends up frustrating me when it comes to enforcement, when you haven't put it in a clear set of guidelines for these companies to operate under. You're not enforcing anything. All you're doing is using the power of the government to run people bankrupt in court and calling it a win. There needs to be actual laws put in place before these steps are taken on private businesses. It's kind of disgusting, actually, and really winds me up.
Yeah, I really, it makes you wonder, exactly what happened behind closed doors, because if CZ and Binance really did do some illegal activity, some really bad, down and bad, I don't want to swear, but crap. And all they do is fine them $4.3 billion, slap them on the wrist and say, you're okay. Like, really, what happened behind closed doors? That's why I believe there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye. And also Janet Yellen, she came out and said that, this is, everyone is on notice that you must follow by the U.S. rules when it comes to exchanges and crypto. And like I said to you, Dip, there are no rules. Exactly. Like, what is she talking about? How are people supposed to follow the rules if they don't have any clear rules or clear guidelines to go by?
Exactly.
I think when you look at the grant, if you pull back and see some of the actions that Binance took, you can say they were borderline, right? I mean, I think everybody knows there's no leverage trades in the U.S. I think there's guidelines of how you can approach U.S. customers on exchanges, and I think for a long time they kind of skirt those rules, and for the most part, nothing was done about it because who cares? The market cap back then was nothing, but as things grew, right? Right now it's an issue, and this is more of reactive instead of being proactive. And once again, the United States is the leader in being reactive to things, and not being proactive. So at the end of the day, Binance, like I said, if there was some wrongdoing, I think this is the right thing to kind of do, right? But we'll never know. I don't think we're gonna have a statement from Binance kind of highlighting, yes, we did this wrong, or no, we didn't do this, right? I don't know why an admission of guilt is never part of these deals. So I think that as an American citizen, I would love to know, or is this just a plea deal to, give me the money, we're going to just slide everything under the table. So
yeah, it really sounds like a pay to play situation. Step down and let our guy in your place, and we'll go on from there, or else we're gonna keep you here and locked up.
But what's more concerning is how there's not a reflection on what is needed, right? Obviously, what Binance has done, whether good or bad, shows that there is a real need in the U.S. for this type of play. That they want leverage trading, that they want access to BNB, that they want access to certain utilities that is just not legally available in the U.S. And instead of the U.S. creating,
that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was going to say it's probably the elite that are screaming that. They're
Right.
telling regulators, listen, we want to be able to have leverage trading and so on and so forth. So yeah, I agree with you.
But you would think that they will create then avenues, right? Because this is an opportunity where you can say, okay, let's create an avenue for us not just to make it available, but to tax it.
Happy Thanksgiving, boy, the drip. Boy, the fucking drip.
Here we go. How you doing?
Good. Hey, seriously though, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, mate. No bullshit.
Thanks.
Just so you know, Ashla, we are discussing what happened with Binance. So I'm not sure if you have any take on that or any.
I actually do have a kind of a serious take. So it's bad in many ways. It won't cause permanent damage, but CZ is going down. That's for goddamn sure. Mm-hmm. But one of two things is going to happen. BlackRock is going to take over Binance because they've had their hands in Binance since June. To a degree. I don't remember the exact article I saw, but they had their own designs on Binance since at least June of this year. So when Changpeng goes down, it won't kill BNB, but it will cause a lot of damage. As for whether it'll delay the bull market, I couldn't be caught dead telling you. But it's not going to be pretty, but it won't kill anyone, so to speak. And I'm sorry, boy, did I interrupt you when I was ranting like a lunatic, or were you in the middle of something?
No, you're good. You are good.
Okay, Juan, how are you doing, brother?
Enjoying that turkey. Just
good.
Having the best of both worlds. Have drink and food in me, so can't complain. How are you in yours?
Good. Oddly enough, I chose not to drink tonight, which is very strange for me, but I figured I wanted to be sober for the show.
we appreciate that.
So I put out. What else was discussed while I was away?
That's pretty much it. I mean, today's main headline was the Binance situation and everything that happened there with CZ, and then of course BlackRock, and we also talked about the ETF pending ETF approvals. Yeah,
no, I'm almost certain it's going to get approved because even people from the SEC are saying they see no objection.
Yeah.
What's your time frame on it?
Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, what's your time frame on it, Ashla?
Realistically, look, the SEC, like all regulatory firms and offices, they are notoriously slow. No one is quick. I want to, if I had to guess or die, I would say within 18 months.
Well, that long.
Yeah, because, dude, you know how slow regulatory agencies can get, especially a three-letter agency like the SEC, the DOJ, FBI, CIA, like, not just for this, but for really much anything.
The only problem with that, though, Ashley, is all of the applications that have been sent in the last 6 months or so, they all have deadlines. And if something isn't approved by January, I believe they have to resubmit. So I don't know if they're going to, decline them all. And then have all of them resubmit.
I would be shocked if they didn't have to resubmit. Because, look, they don't want to approve them, period. What they're trying to do right now is either one of two things. Find some technicality in, in certain states and federal bylaws or some shit to fight it, or delay as long as feasibly possible until and not approve it until they have to. One of two plans.
I think you're absolutely right, but I also think that the government is going to force the government's going to force the SEC's hand and pretty much force them to approve one, if not all. And I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than you think.
I would hope to be wrong on this.
Yeah. Well, I guess time will tell. We'll see. Juan, we didn't get to ask you that one. Same question over to you. When do you think an ETF is going to be approved, and who do you think is going to be approved first?
When it comes to ETFs, I think the one the government feels they can control the most is probably going to be the one that's going to get approved first, because again, regulation, right? And ARK has a good opportunity to be one of those, just because they're in the background. No one's talking about it. They have been linked to certain people that have been helping them, And again, I don't want to throw out names just to save my own hide, but I think at the end of the day, Arc probably has the best. If I have to say, 1A, probably Arc.
See, I knew there was a reason why I liked you. We agree a lot.
You guys agree a lot? You guys agree a lot? Thank God you're not in our firm's conference calls, because you would have a field day with me.
Yeah, you guys are choosing who the government can control, and I went with who controls the government. So
it's always the people you don't know exist that are really pulling the strings.
See, that brings up another point too.
Just think about it, right? Before social media, who knew Blackrock? Who knew how deep they are in the space or in the government or entrenched? How much they own, what they own, where they own? No one.
The truth, and it is somewhat embarrassing to admit, I did not know Blackrock existed until Project Veritas' hit piece on them. I did not know who they were. Hand to God, until their hit piece about half a year ago. And when I found out, I was thinking, oh, so that's that. So that makes a lot of sense, because there were always companies I heard making moves, but I didn't remember the name. And then when I looked at BlackRock, everything stuck. It all connected.
Then it all made sense.
Questions of mine.
Yeah, that might be another reason why BlackRock forced the government's hand to do this to CZ, because he was a very powerful person. He had a lot of influence, and I think he was considered a threat to them. So they worked their magic and got him ousted from Binance. It could be complete speculation, obviously, on my part, but it totally makes sense.
Oh, realistically, if by consider a threat you mean he kept their asses up at night and they were waiting for the first sign to get him, then yeah.
Well, I think it's important to point out that CZ had a big part in exposing like FTX and all that, and who they were involved with government-wise, and I think that hurt a lot of people's pockets as well. Yeah. But yeah, like CZ, sure, there might be some shady dealings, as with most big companies there are, but he's done a lot in this crypto space when it comes to exposing the bad actors. Oh. And he's a big part of why it's still here.
Absolutely. But the thing is, really quick, the thing is, while he's definitely guilty, I would be stunned if he wasn't guilty of the money laundering they think he's guilty of. But the thing is, money laundering is really just a glorified way of avoiding taxes. And a lot of people put their money in crypto for the exact reason of avoiding taxes. So, look, the good can outweigh the bad. Like, he's probably guilty of most of the accusations against him, but the accusations against him are really white collar. They're not... He wasn't hurting people. He wasn't killing people. He wasn't selling drugs or nothing of the kind. So I don't see a reason to come after him other than selfish interests. He did a lot of good for crypto. A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of users that intentionally bypass the rules as well to do business on platforms, because it's really not hard to change your IP address and do that. So does Binance have the ability to stop that? Probably, because you're going out of a centralized server, but I don't know. I think they have a bit too high of expectations from a private company, and I'm always the one looking for less government involvement in my life and let me earn. So I'm a bit biased.
Glenn, you're in America. Glenn, you're from America, right, mate?
No. From Canada.
Oh, you guys are Canadian. Oh, the guys in the top row are Canadian. The guys in the bottom are American, huh? I guess it's like there's true domination. Because Canada's up top. We're on the bottom.
Just like the map.
Yep.
What's thoughts on that?
What's that?
I just said, what's Juan's thoughts on that? What else has been said? He said he's quiet.
Oh, no, I like to listen and give people an opportunity to kind of listen and learn and see people's perspectives. Because, the way America kind of operates, unfortunately, is very methodical and sometimes can be borderline disingenuous. when it comes to how it once represents itself in the world community. As much as we want to believe that we live in a world or live in a country where we want to help those in need, the actions kind of go the opposite, right? I mean, you look at our two-party system. You think about how people want to. They always say that Democrats represent the working class and how they want to do X, Y, Z. But with that being said, why create laws that you yourselves, when you're in power, don't overturn? I don't think like money should be in politics. I don't think money should be part of the whole machine of politics. But yet here we are, and then they are persuaded to do certain actions. So how disingenuous or how credible are people when they say they want to do these things when their actions have shown not to be true? So when you kind of just pull back, right? So when you pull back and look at whomever is in charge, when you pull back and look at whatever issue shows up, whether it's about crypto, whether it's about social, economic issues, whether it's about just people in general being unhappy, there isn't a credible person out there that's going to tell you one is better than the other when it comes to our two-party system. We're just rolling the dice and hoping for the best. And crypto is in that space right now. We're hoping that they roll out some regulations and that the regulations are the right ones, because they're not going to be in our best interest. They're probably going to be in the elite's best interest. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this. Even when ordinary people like us appear to triumph, still people and entities like Blackrock rise again. And here's the reason why: because firms like Blackrock and others are born of a realization that money, greed, and lust for power can manipulate and control everything, as long as there are recruits who are weak-minded enough to be bought. Much like most senators, most representatives, there are weak-minded saps who can be bought. In that Project Veritas hit piece I mentioned, it was said, the guy who was being recorded undercover even said, hey, for $10K, you can buy a fucking senator. That should show the point. Yeah, kind of I'm ranting and raving like a goofball here, but it's true. Is anything I'm saying wrong? Think about it.
It actually reminds me of a video I was watching earlier on today. I think it was Grant Cardone, and he was talking about Nancy Pelosi and how in her whole career she has never earned more than $172,000 a year, yet her net worth is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And he actually broke it down like that she would have to have been working as Speaker of the House for something like 3,300 years or something to earn that money. So
she's clearing 175K a week in reality. Let's go on. Yeah. I digress.
Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of funds being lobbied to these politicians by private entities to get their own way when it comes to how the U.S. is governed, or any country for that matter. It's the same everywhere.
Well, what a hypocrisy. Come for CZ's head for doing exactly what you are doing. Classic projection.
That's why I get fired up. That's why I get fired up.
Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty.
Exactly.
Well, like I said, that's why we have to be more judgmental when we kind of hire our politicians, more vocal. Voting is important, but I think that we also have to educate ourselves. I think that the old way of voting needs to change, where you pick a side and you just kind of go down the boxes. There are pros and cons to each party. And I think that you need both in order to have a choice. And we just need to be able to be in a position to demand more. And we don't. We kind of it is what it is, and just kind of a lot of our things in our lives accept things because that's how it's always been. But I don't think that's going to be...
people think that there isn't anything that they can do, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh yeah, because here's the thing: firms like Blackrock and all them, like I said earlier, are born of a realization. But shit like DeFi, Binance, crypto in general is born of a reaction, a desire to fight it and stop it.
Yeah, you get a lot of people that get way too busy in their lives. You're working obscene hours or whatever, and then when you're done, the last thing you want to do is head to like your local municipal government meetings and actually voice your concerns or your demands on how you want things governed. And it's probably one of the more important things you can do, because now they're forced to represent you instead of hold a meeting by themselves behind closed doors, making decisions and voting on their own. And a lot of people in government positions are getting away with murder because of that, because prices are high, people are working nonstop, they don't have time to actually be involved with how they're managing the country, and it goes through all the levels. So that if you can actually make the time and force them to work for you, you see a lot more change than having an election every 4 years.
Indeed. Now, that's the thing I'll tell you. I don't know if any of you are history buffs, but in World War I, the Emperor of Russia and his family were unfortunately savagely executed in their basement by the Soviets, not endorsing that kind of retaliation. But the operative point is, when the common man or woman does get tired of it, when the ordinary folks snap, that and only then does real change happen. Do I agree executing people in the basements is wrong? No shit. But the operative point is, when people snap, that's how change gets made. Real change. And it's only a matter of time before people actually snap. And when that happens, big change. Every one of these tyrants is going to go down someday.
Yeah,
now, Juan,
you see the world as a giant pressure cooker. And sorry, Crypto Crazy.
That's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, you see the whole world right now. It's like a giant pressure cooker ready to explode. So, yeah, it's an interesting time to be watching world events and what's happening, and the defensiveness from governments, and it's all playing out right now. It's not something that's going to be coming in the future.
Let me just put it this way: 4 years ago, in 2019, pre-COVID, if anyone in my town came out as transgender or anything like that, we would all be they would be deemed insane. We would all be gossiping, blah blah blah. We'd all condemn it. We would all be going mad, raving. But today, you could see several people with goofy styles, trans people. You find them everywhere. It's how fast humanity is decaying in front of every one of our faces, and we as people are too busy to do anything about it.
Yeah,
that's just a statement.
The alphabet community is becoming mainstream. So to your point earlier, and Juan, yours as well, about voting. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The voting process is broken. The entire election process itself, because when you vote for a party and they're elected into power, into government power, you expect them to do not only what they say they're going to do, like in their election campaign, but you have trust, or at least used to have trust in them, that they would govern the country properly. That's no longer the case, because down in the States, you guys have two major parties. Up here in Canada, we have four, I guess you could say, and none of them are, in my opinion, worthy of the position. And the everyday, the common citizen wonders, what can they do to make changes? What can they do to bring government back to what they are meant to be for, and what they're supposed to do is govern the populace, govern the country. So, how do you go about finding the proper way to do that? And I mean, there is no right answer. And like Glenn said, most people are really, really too busy to make any kind of a difference, to go down to these meetings and talk to their government officials, their elected officials. But no one has the time, the energy, or the drive to want to do so, because everyone has been so beat down that they just kind of throw their hands up and say, well, I'm just going to let them do whatever they're going to do. And that needs to change.
That needs to stop, because
they are public servants, and they are supposed to be working for you, not working against you. The public's supposed to be the ones in charge, and they're the ones supposed to be managing that, not vice versa. They shouldn't be controlling people's lives the way that they are.
Oh yeah, but there's
But you know, I think that they just don't know. The public, what it is they want. I don't think they have a clear indication of what rule looks like. You know, I'll give you an example. As a manager, I've always prided myself of having clear cut direction of where we should be doing, what should we going. And you would think that people would hate it because it's so strict, but people want that level of rule because they know what to expect from a day-to-day operation, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine a world where if you could vote from your phone, and before you see a candidate's side, all you do is check boxes of what you would like: free healthcare, maybe stricter rules for transgender, whatever. And you just check these boxes, and all of a sudden, candidates now appear on who you should vote for. Half of America, well, I'm going to say more than half, would probably be shocked on who they'd be voting for. Just because I don't think they are involved enough in the politics of it all, of understanding what they want. Just look at Ohio, where it's a red state, and they were pro-life, but the majority of women say, no, I prefer my freedom first. And they voted against, having government involvement in their ability to choose abortion or not. So it's just that inability of understanding. And as much as we would like to blame the government for it all, our lack of involvement as a people plays a huge role. I mean, just taking my daughter to school and looking at different things, there's no one saying, or there's no child saying, hey, I want to be president.
Right.
Because here's the thing. It's actually straight up scary how fantastically retarded the masses truly are. It's terrifying. Because here's the thing. I mean, Glenn, you're smiling. I hope you're smiling because what I'm saying is true. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, yes, but I don't put the blame on the mass. I put the blame on our education system.
That's true. But that's the reason they're fantastically stupid. Because look, here's the thing. People don't, and that's half of the reason, to be precise. The other half is because people don't have ambition. You can look at a man like me and say, hey, this kook will never amount to anything. But the thing is, that's not what I wanted. I busted my ass. I did what I had to do to prosper in life. And hell, I even headed up a firm with Juan, our project. We're working on it. Let's just leave it at that. But we're not giving up. We're fighting every single solitary day to make sure that we win out and we have a good project. Because I'm the kind of guy, and Juan is too, we don't give up. We're not going to just lay down and surrender and be browbeat. More people like us, all four of us speaking right now, need to rise the fuck up and take on the challenges of life. And as you go deeper in the ocean of success, the more your problems multiply. More money, more success, more problems. And people are just browbeat when they're so young and docile and thinking, oh, let's just have an ordinary life, a simple life. No! You have to love the chaos. You have to love the war. You have to love what you do, or you are fucked. Am I wrong?
Well, that being said, we've come to near the end of this stream. I love your passion, actually. Now, let's hope that Binance, stays strong. The new CEO carries into the crypto future. I think Binance is much needed in the space, especially in DeFi. A lot of us have been involved in projects where BNB and BUSD and the Binance Smart Chain in general is a big part of it. So I'm glad to see them still around and not folding. Next week, we have an amazing show. We actually have YouTuber Tyler Hill on. He's going to give us his take on the crypto space. Before we let everyone go, Glenn, any last words?
I did, but Ashla kind of laughed him out of my train of thought. I think.
No, you can phrase it again, but you'll be able to phrase it eloquently.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. Okay, guys on the panel, stick around for after the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I guess that's it for this week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, good night, brothers. Take care.